Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Daniel, the founder at Durran. Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
Sure. So Durran is a product design studio, mostly working with startups, helping them usually with activation and retention challenges. Kind of that's what we do, covering mostly UX and product discovery.
Okay. What are the services that you offer?
Yeah, it's kind of product design, UX, product discovery as like main services, and some of our clients need some UI work as well. So it's kind of bundled into this, if you want to say it. But the main focus is usually around product design.
Okay, so product design. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear some success stories of happy customers if you can share with us.
Oh, happy customers. I just got a nice review from somebody the other day.
Okay.
It was a bit of a weird, it's not usually the standard stuff we do, so it was more about a UX audit. So yeah, that's another service that we sometimes do, UX audits, but it's usually how we kick off other projects. We first of all want to see what's there, what's working, what's not working, and what should be tackled first, and my basic prioritized stuff. At this point, it was just an UX audit, so that's the whole thing that we were paid to do, let's put it that way.
Okay.
But we usually like to bundle it with other stuff as well. So it was the audit that we do, but it was some workshops as well to like gather some of the thoughts, insights, and map them in one place. It starts to be a recurring theme that the customers that I work with or we work with, it's mostly at the moment it's I work with. So they really like that. It's a process, so it's quite easy to follow. They can tag along. They are very involved in what's happening. You know, it's like we do stuff in Miro, so they are in Miro working together alongside. Or we have like daily almost daily check-ins to like keep track of what's happening and what needs to be done. Eventually, course correct if it's needed. And like the last 2 or 3 clients basically said almost the same thing. So they like the process. They like that it's quite easy to understand how things work. That it's very well organized, and I guess they understand what's happening. So it's not like, you know, I take the project, go do my stuff, come back. Hey, look, some flashy stuff. It's not like that. So it's like we work with the client. Sometimes it's not that flashy, like an end of the UX audit is basically a report and some screens. So it's not necessarily some stuff that you would put on Dribble. But you know, it's like the whole thing is to find out those small wins, if you want, that we could tackle in order to improve some stuff. In this case, it was about activation. Like they said retention, but actually it was more about activation. And a lot of times it's quite something similar. So it's either part of a flow, it's broken, and that's where we want to run some experiments. Either, I don't know, some people don't understand the value of the product, and that's where we want to come and run some stuff.
I understand. And would you like to keep this process, or would you like to expand and become more like a agency, let's say, like a bigger agency?
I don't want to expand to a bigger agency. I still try to, in a way, put stuff around it. But this is the main process. So I don't want to go in like marketing and development and all the whole stuff. It's like we are a product design studio. That's what we do. We don't care about anything else. Like, it's not that we don't care. We know how all of these stuff build on top, but we don't want to tackle them. It's more like if there are clients that need help on like marketing, we know some people around there. If there are people that need development work or development help, we know some people that do that, and we just like refer people and try to help that way. But it's not something that we want to. It's not in my plan to internalize something like this.
I think that's a better way to do it. I was curious to know what are the steps when a client comes to you. You said that you first start with UX.
Yeah, it's usually a UX audit that we start with. Kind of that's it. In a way, it depends on what the stage they are, but usually, like since I actually took some time to see like what are our clients that we work with, what they are coming for, and what is kind of the stuff that we do. Okay. And there are usually 2 big chunks. Like the first one is they need an MVP or something similar. They might use other words. That's like a 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks process. That's heavily product discovery, some lean stuff, testing a prototype with customers, finalizing designs, and handing it over to development, and also like defining the MVP. So what should be in the MVP? That's part of the first steps. Okay. And the second big group of clients, usually they already have a product on the market, And that's when you start usually with something like an audit, because you want to see what's working, what's not working. Also, you have access to more resources and insights. So you can tackle in like Google Analytics, Hotjar, talk with customers because they already have some, or at least they might have some accounts or somebody, around. So you have people to talk with. In a way, it's easier to do it that way because you already have stuff to, drag around and try to find patterns. So that's the other part that we do. Otherwise, like the whole process, they are both in a way very similar. The big difference is since they have a product on the market, you have some other insights that you can pull and put into this whole process. Otherwise, it's like mostly relying on what the founders or the people that are in charge know.
Understand. And what do you say are the most common challenges that you see, the most common problems that founders have?
That's a good question. I actually run, it's the second year. This year is the second one that I run a survey to like see how people are founders, early stage founders.
Okay.
Think about UX and then about the challenges they face. I would say usually in like both years in the top 3, it was make the product easier to use. That's what's kind of the main topic both years. There are other stuff as well to improve the process, to test before build, or what was some other ones, know what our customers want, stuff like this. But in both years, the same thing. It was in top 3 from what I remember, make the product easier to use, which in a way it's kind of summarizes the whole thing. So it's like it's a lot of stuff. It's not just we cut down some stuff here. You really have to understand your clients, and some people don't necessarily like, especially early stage. They sometimes are reluctant to talk actually with the customers, so they mostly build, and after that they launch something, and hopefully something will happen. Usually nothing happens, but yeah. So it's kind of this is the topic. They are more in helping somehow the platform to be more self-explanatory, and that's actually it's a big thing to do because it helps you on a lot of other stages. You don't have to invest that much in like customer support. People don't churn that much, so in a way it's easier to handle things. But in order to get there, it might be a bit messy because you have to experiment before launching. So some people don't want to do that, or they don't know how to do that. So yeah, kind of that's it. Very long answer, but
no worries. And what is the survey about? Do you create it?
Yeah. It's the survey is created by me. I was in discussions with some other people around startups as well. Like I mentored in a bunch of startup programs in Romania, so this is how the whole thing started.
Okay.
I just wanted to have like one place to see, basically to better understand how my potential customers thinks about what I do. So like the easiest way to do it is launch a survey, though usually what I tell to founders is don't launch surveys, but this is something different. So do what I say, don't do what I do. But it's like usually it's better to talk with customers, like if you are a founder, you use survey usually to pre-qualify, and after that you talk on calls. But at this stage, I just wanted to gather as much as possible, like data and information. And it was a lot of like just completing stuff. You have to select one from 5-6 options. And the questions are around like how they understand UX, what kind of challenges they have, which we kind of covered, how much they invest or how they tackle these challenges at this moment. And a lot of them, they are tackling in a way themselves or want to learn, especially early stage. And kind of that's it. I don't know, it has a couple of links. So if you want, I can send them over. It has like 2 links and there are a couple of questions. So
Sure. When did you start the agency?
As usually things start when you don't like what you've done before. So yeah, I worked on a couple of projects before this. I really didn't like that. Towards the end, it started to be like very, very annoying. And I said, look, I want to do something different, because I worked as most UX UI designers done. It's like you work on projects almost like being as almost a hired person, just like the worst kind of employee, because you are the first to leave when shit hit the fan. Sorry for my language. So when things are not working okay, you are the first one to be cut.
Yes.
Because you're an outsider. but otherwise you have to perform at least as an employee. So I didn't like that. Because I didn't like the project, and that's how things started. I wanted to do something different, and I also like invested in taking some courses and understand processes better and building a process that's working. That's where I delved into like the whole lean startup stuff and design processes and design thinking and that whole thing. And that's how it started. It's usually, I would say it's almost like 3 years now. Yeah, it's around 3 years now. And that's when I started to be more involved in the local startup scene. And after that, I started to talk with people in like similar startup founders and startup communities across Europe. So yeah, kind of that's what I'm focused now.
That's a very good definition. So the worst kind of employee. I really like that. Interesting.
Yeah, that's like the Romanian PFA. It's the worst kind of employee.
Yeah, I understand. I wanted to ask you, when should a team choose an agency, hire a full-time person, or go to some external freelancer?
That's a very tough one. I wouldn't say that's a hard. There is a hard line. It depends on how much money you have, I would say.
Okay.
Because what I saw that a lot of startups do is they think that just because I have access to somebody more time, like there is more time with me, it means that it will produce more value, which is actually not true most of the times. And this is why they kind of tend to hire really fast. So they raise a pre-seed or a seed round, they have some money, and what's the first thing we do? We hire somebody internally. And especially if you don't have processes and you most probably don't have the money to hire a senior person, then what you will get is an executioner. So that person will most time do what you say, which if you just want to move fast in a way might help up to a point, but you don't have anybody to jump and like bounce ideas. And you don't have anybody that has processes, and also that person don't really have a context in which they can grow, because if they don't do it by themselves, they don't have anybody else on the team. So in that stage, I would say that it might worth at least considering working with an outside, either freelancer, either a small studio, because they are not that expensive as a large agency, but they already have some people that have experience. Most of the times they are experienced people. They know what they do. They have processes of working. Now, how you select the one that works for you, that's like up for another discussion. It might be a long one. But I wouldn't jump really fast into hiring, because it comes with a lot of other stuff. It's like you have to hire, you have to train, you have to buy all those licenses. Then if things doesn't work out, you have to let that person go. So it's like, it's easier in a way to start with somebody, and that person, like that freelancer or that studio, might even help you to hire the next person. Like I've done that with some startups that I worked with, when they said, look, we work together this much, but we need somebody in-house now. You might be a lead designer or something around, or somebody that ask when things are really hard or we don't figure it out in-house, but we need somebody in the team. Because there are stuff that you need to do. You have to prepare assets for development and stuff like this. And then if you find the right partner, that partner might actually help you find a good fit designer for what you actually need, instead of just hiring somebody that does nice stuff,
Great answer. I love it. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Thank you so much. Do you also have a team?
At the moment, no. From time to time, I work with other freelancers if needed, mostly on the UI part, but I'm the one tackling the more strategic part, let's put it that way, like product discovery and UX part. I'm the one handling that. From time to time, I work with some freelancers, but kind of that's it.
What would you say was your biggest challenge since starting Durran?
Ooh, besides the standard finding the right client, that's one of the biggest, like most of the agencies go through something like this, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
But finding the right fit of what I want to do, what I can charge for, and what the clients need, something like that, I would say. That was one of at the moment, I would say I'm kind of around that. And also articulating what you do. I tend to over-explain from time to time, so I had to pay somebody. Like I actually worked with somebody to help me summarize stuff and cut down. So basically, my very long deck ended up in 10 pages.
Awesome. Do you only work with startups?
Not necessarily, but most of the clients are startups or scale-ups. Client-wise, most of them are pre-seed to Series A, I would say. And mentoring and advising, they are usually more early.
And I guess some part of the clients you find through accelerators, through word of mouth.
Mostly word of mouth, yeah. Not that much from accelerators, though there are a couple of discussions now. But most of the clients I had, they kind of fit the same pattern. They come through word of mouth. They have a product on the market that's not really growing as they expected. And that's how we end up working together. And yeah, they are usually seed Series A, I would say.
Okay. What was your biggest mistake in these 3 years?
Why? There was a bunch of them, but some of them I can't say them out loud.
A learning that you got and you can share with the audience, maybe.
So I was stubborn to offer something that at that stage people didn't want it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So in a way, if you read the e-meet, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So there is like the technician. I was very technician. So it was like, look, everybody needs what I do. Yes, that might be true, but even then, you have, and it's the same thing that I say to founders. That's like the weird stuff, because sometimes you say advice to somebody or you say something to somebody, and then, oh, that thing actually applies to me as well. Find the people that not just you think they need what you do, but they know that they need what you do. If that makes sense. So I tried to, in a way, help, because I thought that, look, everybody needs what I do, but for some or most of the founders that I met, I was too early, and they needed something else. So and that took me quite some time to understand that it's not that I'm too expensive or too whatever. It's not just the right fit. They need something else at that stage, and yeah, figuring that out, I would say it's almost 1.5 years. Well. And mostly because I was stubborn, not because anything else.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate the transparency. I'd love to hear your backstory. So how you started your career?
Like I went through a couple of phases. So I started actually working in a photo studio back then, doing some Photoshop work. And because that was what we had, like Photoshop, that was Photoshop. Everything was in Photoshop, anything like this. So I've done that a couple of years. After that, I moved to a small agency where we done mostly printing. And because I had a friend who worked at one of the tech companies from Oradea, I'm from Oradea, I ended up doing some Photoshop work, but for them. And because that project got killed, they said, look, you could move to this product. And that's how I ended up being something like an assistant product manager, not assistant to the product manager, like assistant product manager.
Okay.
I was doing mostly research and wireframes and slowly moved to the other projects. And this is how I started. It was like more than 12 years ago now. I started actually working in a product company that had different products. And I would say I was lucky because I could, in a way, understand how products are made. There were products that now don't exist anymore. They still have 2 products on the market that are working quite well, I would say. So yeah, went through those stages, understanding each department, like what the developers are doing, what the project manager is doing, what the product manager is doing, what's the difference between these two, what the marketing team is doing. So it was a really great experience to somehow get an overview, if you want, of the departments and what's kind of the role of each of these. Because in the end, it's not like you can do your part really well, but everybody has to do their parts really well to even stand a chance to launch a successful product.
Yes, absolutely. And now I'm looking to get 2 pieces of advice for you. The first one would be to founders looking to create their first product, let's say, starting founders. And the second would be to people right after college, let's say, that are looking to learn more about product design and get hired. So I'll let you.
Okay, let's start with the ones from the college, because that's in a way it's easier. The best thing to do is to experiment, and it's whatever you end up doing. What I find is that a lot of people they kind of rush. It's high school, after that go to university, go to whatever, and it's not, they in a way might end up by luck in the best place, and in a way that happened to me. But because I'm almost a Notion nerd, like I do a lot of stuff in Notion. I'm not the biggest wizard of Notion or whatever, but I do a lot of stuff in Notion. And I having these discussions from time to time with friends. It's like, oh, how to organize this or how to put this, because I'm overwhelmed and stuff like this. And what I find is like people are, a lot of times they are carried away by things that happens, and it's not like it's not happening to me. It's happening to me as well. So me included. So it's like, it's good to take some time. I'm saying this because I skipped university, so take it with a grain of salt. It's good to have some time to actually experiment and find out what you are good at and what you want to do, instead of just rushing through things because society says to do that. And I don't know. I usually say weird stuff. So yeah, keep it with me. And if you want to be a product designer, then at least in my opinion, one of the best things to do is actually work in a product company, not an agency.
Okay.
Work and not an outsourcing company, like a company that does products and they have their revenue from selling the product. That way, product company. Because you have access to a couple of stuff that otherwise might be hard to do. You can experiment. You have access to customers, like end customers. You can talk with the end customers. You can see all of those departments, how they work together. You can understand different roles, and you can put this whole puzzle in one place and try to figure out what's working for you. You might end up in something else. Like I was a Scrum Master once, like for 6 months. I never liked that. So I tried it. So you have this set of stuff that you have access to, and you can work around, think about what's working for you, what's okay for you, what you would like to do. And even in design, there are different stages or different smaller departments or niches that you might want to do, instead of like being a generalist, let's put it that way. So I would definitely suggest to go and work for a product company, a startup, a scale up. And if it's somewhat early stage, but not very early, so somewhere where there is a small team, maybe to somebody to guide you, like a senior or a lead, but there are not too many, so you get lost. That I would say it's a very good fit for somebody at the beginning of the road.
Yes.
I would still advise not to go somewhere where you're just the only designer, because it's not impossible, but it might be more challenging.
Of course. And for the second piece of advice for founders looking to create their first product, do you have any tips, any know-how before?
Yeah, delay building as much as possible, I would say. I don't know how it's like in other countries, but in Romania, there are like most of the founders in a way jump too fast to build. Like build meaning coding. Let's put it that way. So they jump too fast to code, and that thing that they produce, it takes just too much time. So instead of figuring out if something would work or not, you delay that for some, like there are a bunch of reasons why you delay that, and that comes with a couple of other things that might not be obvious. Your learning curves gets very, very long, and the number of fails that you can take, it gets smaller and smaller. So if you can find a way to test iterate faster than, I know, building 3, 6, 9, 12 months, then the chances to actually have a chance, let's put that way, increases, because you can test iterate really, really fast. And what I usually tell to founders is, look, there is a book called Hacking Growth. First page of the book says there is no such thing as hacking growth. Okay. So there is no such thing as a silver bullet that will, I don't know, somehow you will do whatever. Most of the good products, and there are a bunch of resources on this, most of the products that we use, most of the good products that are out there, most of the SaaS startups that are growing, they got to that stage because they figured out how to test iterate really, really fast. And if you read Inspired, if you read, I don't know, Running Lean or Lean Startup or all of the other books, kind of the same topic. It's figuring out a way to put something in front of your customers, see if that works or not, if they understand it or not, if it brings value to the customers and your business or not, iterate, move forward. Instead of like, let's build this thing. There is a reason why Encarta doesn't launch 1-year CDs anymore. It's like, that's kind of dead. It was back then when you had 1 year to launch a new product. You don't have that luxury anymore. So yeah, definitely I would say find a way to test before actually launching a huge building, coding endeavor of a product.
Thank you
And
very
it doesn't
much.
have to be perfect, obviously, because that's the other one. If you are a technician, like developer technician, most of the times you try to build the perfect backend or whatever from day one, and that takes a lot of time, and usually you don't need it at that stage.
Yes.
So they try, yeah, they are kind of way before actually needing it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing the
You're
advice.
welcome.
I have
Thanks for
one last
Yeah.
question.
Sure.
I love to hear your top 3 favorite SaaS products.
Oh wow.
Maybe not in terms of product design, but in terms of usage, or however you like.
Okay, so there are, I just thinking about them. So there is I really like Notion. I use it a lot. So that's definitely one. I would say number one.
Okay.
The other ones. I dwelt into the script
The
lately.
script? Yep.
Use it for some video editing. Really great product for somebody that doesn't do video editing as I am that person. I do. So I just cut stuff out and
Yes.
that's what I need to do.
Yep.
Okay. Another one. Let me think. What I also have, there are a bunch of other ones. I like also Miro. I use it a lot as well. And I would really this is a product I don't use it that much, but I really like the vibe. Butter. I really like Butter.
Butter.
Butter.us.
Okay.
Us. Butter.us. Yeah, it's somewhat similar to Zoom, but it's for workshops.
Okay. I know.
And the whole thing is really, I really like the vibe. I really like the founders. So it's
Awesome.
huge fan.
Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
Thanks. It was really nice being here.